Beware the Ides of March, right? Especially when the character's wearing a long red tie and a famous comb-over. A production of Julius Caesar in New York depicts the tragic Roman ruler looking just like Donald Trump. He also has a Slavic, well-dressed wife, and some say that the stabbing scene, which is generally pretty rough in Julius Caesar, is pretty rough here as well. So Delta Airlines and Bank of America said no mas. We are pulling out of this production. No more money towards this production. Trace Gallagher has details for us tonight from LA. Trace?
Hey, Martha, in this version of Julius Caesar, the emperor is a familiar businessman known for well-cut suits and a bad temper. Now, Donald Trump's name is never mentioned, but the lead is played by a Trump lookalike. His name is Greg Henry, who admits that he's playing a man drunk with ego, power, and ambition, and that his idea was to show that this could be Donald Trump. And, of course, just like in the original play, to curb Caesar's power, he is summarily stabbed to death. Many who saw the preview were offended, saying something like this would never have flown if it was about Presidents Obama or George W. Bush. As you said, Delta Airlines and Bank of America, who sponsor Shakespeare in the Park, have decided to pull their funding, with B of A releasing a statement that reads in part, quote, "The public theater chose to present Julius Caesar in a way that was intended to provoke and offend. Had this intention been made known to us, we would have decided not to sponsor it." Donald Trump Jr. also weighed in, tweeting, quote, "I wonder how much of this art is funded by taxpayers. Serious question. When does art become political speech, and does that change things? Well, we checked, and it turns out the National Endowment for the Arts is not funding this production, but oddly enough, Donald Trump's foundation did fund Shakespeare in the Park back in the 1980s. And despite the outrage over the Trumpian figure being stabbed in public, some theater goers say it's much ado about nothing. Watch.
You know, if SNL is going to have the right to depict Donald Trump in satirical ways, and you know, this is not in a satirical way. This is, you know, the ancient Shakespeare way.
The theater just issued a statement standing behind the production, and we should note opening night of Julius Caesar gets underway in Central Park in about 15 minutes.
Yeah, can be pretty hot up there tonight in Central Park. So what about free speech? Thank you, Trace. By the way, let's bring in Ben Shapiro, editor-in-chief of DailyWire.com, and Jessica Tarlov, senior director of research at Bustle.com and a Fox News contributor. Free speech, they have the right to do it. Saturday Night Live, it's a good point, Ben, that was made by that young man. But is there something wrong with this? Does it go over the line?
Well, I mean, I think that it crosses a number of lines. Again, you know, Trace mentioned the idea that if somebody had done this about Barack Obama, it would have been the end of the world in the media. And in fact, it was. A rodeo clown in Missouri got fired for having the temerity to put on a Barack Obama mask and then run around like an idiot. And I remember the lieutenant governor of the state, the senator from the state condemned it. So it's not, you know, rare that politically advantageous things for one side or another are done and people react badly to it. I think that the sponsors have every right to pull their money, obviously. And if I were at Delta, I would not want the blowback. But I think that as a general rule, we should be careful about what I think are sometimes astroturfed campaigns against particular pieces of art or particular expressions, because that's a very slippery slope. If we all start boycotting products because we don't like the views expressed by some of the people that the products are sponsoring, we could be in serious trouble just in the political media in general.
Yeah, it comes on the heels of Kathy Griffin's holding of the head with, you know, ketchup on it or whatever. It was horrific. Is this okay, Jessica?
I happen to think it is okay, and I take all Ben's points, and it's free speech first and foremost, but I wanted to remind the audience, or maybe tell them for the first time, that there actually was a 2012 rendition of Julius Caesar starring someone who looked exactly like Barack Obama. And there was no uproar from that, and certainly not from the liberal left that everyone claims are just snowflakes all the time. So this has been done before. It will be done again. I think this is particularly sensitive in light of what happened with Kathy Griffin just last week. And I think that Don Jr. weighing in on this and not acknowledging, first of all, that this has happened before with Barack Obama specifically, but the free speech importance here and the fact that we have to protect art, and since we did find out that it wasn't taxpayer funded specifically for this piece, is critical. I do like, though, that both Delta and Bank of America did not pull funding generally from the public theater. They did from just the specific production, and I think that's an important distinction.
Yeah. I mean, you think back to the origins of Shakespeare when it was originally done. A lot of times it poked fun at people in power. It's part of the political, Queen Elizabeth was poked fun at, but it was always done in sort of a subtle Shakespearean way, and this is really not so subtle. I mean, it's really sort of slams you over the head, like the stabbing scene in the end of Julius Caesar. So, generally, I love Shakespeare, and the productions that they do in the past couple of years have not been well done. So I don't know if people are just going to vote with their feet and not go to these things anymore. It's a fantastic venue. It should be well done, and unfortunately, it hasn't been recently. Well, very quick thought on this T-shirt. Just pop up the T-shirt. This is a totally different story. But a kid wore a Trump T-shirt in his yearbook, and it was removed by the people who do the yearbook. And if we put the picture up, we'll see it in just a moment. There he is. See? Trump? No Trump. Yeah. Ben, what do you think?
Well, I mean, it's viewpoint discrimination. I think that, again, this comes down to if they are just banning people from wearing Trump shirts or obliterating the Trump watermark on people's yearbooks. Apparently, they removed Trump quotes from the yearbook. Yeah. He is the president of the United States. I mean, this seems a little bit over the top to me, and by a little bit, I mean a lot.
Yeah, I totally agree. Going in full agreement with the conservative tonight. I thought it was ridiculous. And this, in the end, really actually just hurts liberals because it makes it look like we're all crazy and that we think that the word Trump is hate speech. I would also like to add, though, the message of Julius Caesar is actually anti-assassination, to add insult to injury there about coming after it.
Thank you, guys. Good to see you both.
Thanks.
Thanks.
So the show Bachelor in Paradise abruptly